today, and we are learning sadly here from Fox Weather, posting this to X saying deadly nor'easter. The nor'easter blasting the East Coast has led to one death in Brooklyn after winds blew a solar panel off a carport, hitting a pedestrian 20 feet away. I do want to head out to Fox Weather's Jane Minar. She is live in Ocean City, New Jersey, joining us live right now to bring us the latest. Jane, thank you so much for being here with us. What's it looking like out there?
Yeah, Christy, we have just reached high tide in Ocean City, New Jersey, and right now we're in moderate flood stage, and this was supposed to be the highest high tide event of this storm. Of course, we saw yesterday afternoon moderate flood stage reached with about 1.5 to 2 feet of standing water in low-lying areas, especially on the Back Bay. Ocean City, New Jersey, it's a barrier island off the Jersey coastline. And so once you get closer to the beach, there's a little bit more elevation. But as you fall back west towards the bay and the inlet, that's where we see the elevation drop. And of course, you start to see this water bubble up through the grates, back up through the drains, and you suddenly get standing water like what I'm standing in right now. This is a perfect example of what we say when we mean coastal flooding. It's not always what's happening on the beach. You got to watch what's happening in these back streets. But this is really dangerous because, you know, with streets, you have a natural slope. And so it might look deceiving to the eye, but this is very deep water. I mean, this is easily about a foot deep, and as you get into a couple more spots closer to the curb here, this water encroaching in on this business up to the first step going into the business is where that water settles. You know, this can certainly create some damage. We talk about folks who drive through floodwaters like this, creates a wake, almost like a wave that then splashes up into these businesses, into homes, and that too can create a lot of water damage. And so the message has been, please stay off the roads. So with this being the highest high tide of this cycle when it comes to our nor'easter, some good news to report. It doesn't look like we're going to reach major flood stage here. Now, we are just keeping our eyes on one tidal gauge. It doesn't mean that we're not in major flood stage and a couple more tidal gauges down the island or perhaps up the Jersey coastline, but we're just shy. In fact, as far as rankings go, we've cracked into the top 10 of our worst tidal events here in Ocean City, New Jersey, and we're just one behind Hurricane Erin, which happened back in August. Again, hundreds of miles offshore, but all that energy churned up one of the biggest tidal events that we'd had here in Ocean City in a while. So now we're matching that yet again just 2 months later with this nor'easter. How long does this water take to recede? I'll tell you. Hours, right? So it takes a moment to come up, settle in. We saw this flooding start around 12:30, peaks out now as we head through the 2 o'clock hour. But I'm telling you, we're not going to see any of these roads clear, becoming more passable and in ways safer until probably closer to 5, 6 o'clock tonight. And then at that point, you know, we can start to breathe a sigh of relief as the worst is behind us. Winds have started to die down, no longer under wind alerts, as our top wind gusts today have been upwards of about 20 miles an hour, sustained around 10 to 15. So big difference than what we saw yesterday with wind gusts upwards of 50. So overall, a really impressive storm to see how it continues to spin off the coast of the Jersey Shore. But for now, we just deal with the flooding. Christy?
Jane, before I let you go, I know you just said it could take hours to see this water recede, but what are officials saying when it comes to next steps and where we go from here?
You know, next steps really are just hunkering in. And then, of course, something that we're monitoring very closely. You look down the way here, about 4 blocks you get to the coastline, and that is where we have very significant beach erosion. What's happening in the back streets, very disruptive, yes, but what's worrisome is the beach that has quite literally been carved away by our 10 to 12 foot waves, and the beach erosion significant. Dunes have been sharply cut off by about almost 6 to 8 feet in some areas. Beach completely eroded away. So a lot of the officials now trying to get through the day today, hoping that these floodwaters recede. People heed the warning, stay out of it. But a lot of the folks, the mayor, the emergency manager coordinator told me, you know, we're looking at ways to shore up the coastline and the beach as we look through the next several months, especially as we get into next summer, because this is the moneymaker, right? The beach. And for it to be carved away like it is right now, definitely a concern.
All right, Jane Minar, Fox Weather, appreciate you and your team. I'm sure we'll be checking in with you here as we continue to follow all of this. Stay dry out there.
Thank you.